All right, picture this. You walk into your local electronics store, totally ready to upgrade your TV, and bam! You are instantly hit with a massive wall of glowing screens, flashing lights, and price tags ranging from, well, a few $100 to literally the cost of a used car. It is completely overwhelming. You know the feeling, right? Well, welcome to the modern TV buying experience. But hey, don't sweat it, because you are in exactly the right place. Think of this explainer as your ultimate survival guide. We're going to cut right through all that noise and finally settle the score between the two absolute biggest premium display technologies on the market today.
Because honestly, it really all boils down to this one simple question: OLED or QLED? Think of this as a heavyweight title fight for the absolute center of your living room. Now, both of these display technologies have evolved into truly mind-blowing viewing experiences, but they have completely different strengths, different weaknesses, and honestly, totally different underlying philosophies.
So here's the tale of the tape for today. 1. The TV buyer's dilemma. 2. Unpacking OLED technology. 3. Unpacking QLED technology. 4. Our head-to-head showdown. And 5. Finding your perfect match.
Part 1. The TV buyer's dilemma. Because look, if you've been feeling totally confused staring at TV boxes lately, I promise you, it is absolutely not your fault. I mean, just listen to this: OLED, QLED, Mini LED, HDR, Dolby Vision, quantum dots. It's an absolute alphabet soup of marketing buzzwords. It is completely valid to be frustrated by this stuff, but here is the secret to keeping your sanity. You can brush most of that marketing jargon totally aside. When it comes down to buying a premium television right now, OLED and QLED are really the only two contenders that truly matter.
Moving on to Part 2, Unpacking OLED technology. Let's bring out our first contender and see what makes it tick. So, OLED. It stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode. Sounds super technical, I know, but the really interesting part of that definition, the absolute game changer, is this: it requires zero separate backlight. Unlike your traditional LED TVs, every single pixel in an OLED display produces its own light. And because it doesn't have some giant backlight constantly shining behind the screen, when an OLED pixel needs to be black, it literally just turns itself completely off. It sounds incredibly simple, but trust me, it is a revolutionary difference in how these TVs actually build an image.
The best way to picture it? Think of millions of tiny individual light bulbs. Every single pixel on an OLED screen turns on, turns off, tweaks its brightness, and changes its color completely independently of the pixels right next to it. That means you can have a pixel pushing absolute pitch-black darkness directly next to a pixel pushing bright, blinding white, and there is zero light bleeding between them. No halo effect, no blooming, just absolute pixel-perfect precision.
All right, Part 3, Unpacking QLED technology. Time to meet the challenger, which, despite having a confusingly similar acronym, operates on a fundamentally different philosophy.
So, QLED stands for Quantum Dot Light Emitting Diode. Fundamentally, a QLED still relies on a traditional LED backlight. Behind the screen, you've got hundreds, sometimes thousands of LEDs blasting light through the display. What makes it a QLED is this microscopic layer of quantum dots that gets placed right over that backlight, and that layer dramatically improves the color accuracy and the sheer vibrancy of the image you see.
Now, the absolutely crucial thing to grasp here is how these two handle light. It's OLED pixels versus QLED zones. Remember how we said OLED controls every single pixel individually? Well, because QLED uses a backlight, and yeah, often utilizing modern mini LEDs, a QLED pixel cannot actually turn itself completely off. Instead, groups of LEDs dim together in what the industry calls zones. So what does that mean for you? It means if you have a really bright object sitting on a pitch-dark background, you might catch a slight glow, or what's called blooming around it. It just doesn't quite have that pixel-perfect precision of an OLED.
Which brings us to Part 4, the head-to-head features showdown. Let's ring the bell. We know how they work behind the scenes. Now let's see how they actually stack up in the ring. First up on the scorecard, black levels and contrast. Picture watching a space scene or a really dark, moody nighttime movie. OLED is the undisputed champion here. Because those pixels literally turn completely off, OLED gives you true, infinite black and just unmatched shadow detail. QLED, on the flip side, while definitely delivering very, very good performance, will ultimately give you a very dark gray in those exact same scenes. So for pure cinema lovers, OLED absolutely remains the gold standard.
But whoa, wait for the counterpunch here. 4,000 plus nits. Now, nits are simply how we measure screen brightness. And sure, modern OLEDs have improved a ton, generally reaching around 1,500 to maybe 2,000 nits, but QLED comes out swinging hard here. Modern QLED TVs can easily push past 2,000, 3,000, and even 4,000 nits. That extreme, eye-popping brightness will completely overpower annoying glare in bright, sunlit rooms. No question, QLED is the clear winner for daytime viewing.
But then OLED strikes right back when we look at motion handling and viewing angles. Because OLED pixels switch their state almost instantaneously, you get way less blur and much sharper motion. It is absolutely amazing for fast-paced sports. Plus, OLED boasts ultra-wide viewing angles. If you are crammed way off to the side on a crowded couch, an OLED screen hardly changes. Everyone in the room gets a nearly identical, perfect picture. LED-based TVs, like QLED, often lose a bit of color and brightness when you view them from an angle.
Okay, now we gotta address the elephant in the room, the burn-in trade-off. Burn-in is when static images, think like a 24/7 news ticker or a video game heads-up display, get permanently stuck on the screen. Let's clear up a major myth right now. Normal home viewing rarely causes noticeable burn-in on modern OLEDs. They have all these built-in pixel shift and logo detection protections now. However, QLED scores a clean knockout here by having absolutely zero burn-in risk. If you're the type to leave static images on your screen all day long, QLED is, for sure, your safest bet.
And hey, speaking of longevity, check out this number, 100,000 hours. While early OLED TVs definitely degraded a bit faster, modern OLED panels commonly last around 100,000 hours. To put that into perspective, that is over 10 years of heavy, everyday viewing. And since QLED TVs also have fantastic longevity, the overall lifespan between the two is really a dead heat. Honestly, both of these are built to go the distance.
Finally, Part 5, finding your perfect match. Because pivoting from these raw, objective tech specs to the real world is absolutely crucial. At the end of the day, the true winner depends entirely on your specific lifestyle and your specific living room. So think of this lifestyle matrix as your ultimate mental cheat sheet. OLED completely dominates when it comes to movies and dark rooms, all because of those perfect, infinite black levels. QLED, on the other hand, is the undisputed champion of sports and bright rooms, cutting right through daytime glare like it's nothing. And gaming, honestly, it's a dead tie. Both give you 120Hz super low input lag and HDMI 2.1 support. Competitive gamers usually love OLED's instant response time, while casual gamers go crazy for QLED's super bright HDR punch.
So let's make this as easy as possible and break down the victory conditions. You should definitely choose OLED if this sounds like you. You watch movies frequently and you really crave that premium cinematic picture quality with incredibly realistic shadow detail. You primarily watch TV at night or in a much darker room. You demand absolute perfect blacks, you love playing immersive HDR video games, and maybe you have a living room setup where people are sitting at pretty wide viewing angles. If that's your lifestyle, OLED is absolutely worth the premium price tag.
Conversely, you are firmly Team QLED if these points match your habits. You watch TV in bright, sun-drenched rooms, and you need maximum brightness to cut through all that glare. You watch a ton of daytime sports. Maybe you want to use the TV as a massive computer monitor where static taskbars are always sitting there, making you a bit paranoid about burn-in. Or, and this is a big one, you just prefer a lower price. Excellent mid-range QLEDs offer phenomenal bang for your buck and act as incredibly durable, everyday workhorses.
And that brings us to our final thought to wrap up this explainer. Ultimately, it is not just about what you watch, but how you watch it. Both of these display technologies represent a massive, truly exciting leap forward in home entertainment. But now that you actually know the difference between infinite contrast and blinding brightness, between independent pixels and dimming zones, the choice is entirely yours. Which champion belongs in your living room? Take everything you've learned here, march confidently right into that electronics store, and go find your perfect screen.